Hello.
Hello, podcasters, podcast listeners.
Yeah, we're the podcaster. Hello, podcaster.
Hey, podcaster. My name is Kara. What's yours?
My name is Megan. This is the Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery podcast. Of all the intros we've had in our nearly 100 episodes, that's definitely the best one. 100%.
100 episode, 100%.
I don't think this is the 100th episode yet, although it could be. At this point, I have absolutely no idea what's
I don't know
happening.
what are we doing here?
Barely getting through the weeks right now, you guys.
Yep, same.
But I do know this is a Tuesday episode.
We're coming up on a Tuesday.
And it is, I think this is the 98th episode. I just looked it up, but I'm not positive. I could be wrong.
Can we have Nick Lachey join us?
98.
Megan's like, Jesus
That was
Christ.
great. No, I was enjoying it.
Jesus guys.
I have a really...
Megan's now looking for a new co-host.
No, not ever. This is it. This is what we're doing for the rest of your life.
For life.
Today's episode topic was sent to me by my friend Megan.
Hey, Megan.
She messaged me on Instagram and she was like, have you ever heard of the Oakville Blobs? That was exactly my response. This is what she said. I vaguely remember seeing this in the news when it happened, but I forgot that it was a local thing. And then she gave me like a really detailed explanation of the story, which I'm not going to tell you right now because it'll spoil the episode. But she wrapped it all up with, anyway, it sounded like something that you and Kara might be interested in.
Cute.
I love that she knows us.
Is this anything like the meat particles falling from the sky?
Sort of. I mean, the Kentucky meat shower, which I guess we've never done an episode
No, we
on.
haven't. We need to do that.
Which is
and the
weird.
cocaine bear and...
Yeah, we got to do some more Kentucky ones. So it's like that in that it involves something really bizarre falling from the sky and nobody knows why.
What?
But it's not meat.
Where is Chicken Little?
Okay, so here we go.
Doing it.
In August of 1994,
Okay.
a woman living in Oakville, Washington, population 723.
Oh.
Ain't nobody in that town got secrets. Not a single one.
No.
Reported.
Listen, my best friend moved to Arkansas, and like a true friend, I Googled the town, and there's only like a population of less than 1,000. So
how's that going?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
my.
know. I'm scared for her.
Oh, Kelsey. Okay. God, call us. Are you okay?
Call us. Blink twice. If
You just
blink
hear on the other
twice.
end of the phone blinking.
Yeah,
We're like,
blink
"I can't
twice
hear
if
you."
you've been able to go to Sephora lately.
So this woman living in Oakville.
Megan has a hair on her face.
Has
Did
a
you get
hair
it?
problem?
Okay. Did you get it? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's just all over your floor.
Okay. A mixture of mine. What if it turns into like a little blob person? And it's like our hair that's like formed into a person that's wandering around. That's the trash witch.
We're like 3 minutes in, we've completely lost control of this episode. It's gone.
I almost snorted. I'm
Just
laughing
picture
so
a little
hard.
hair person.
Arms, legs, dress
Oh,
on,
God.
everything. It's great because there's enough of our hair in this floor too. It's not like a hair salon. We just shed a lot.
It's
we both
weird.
have really thick,
Maybe
curly.
gross.
I don't think so. I think it's an
I don't think it's
adorable
gross.
hair
Mm-mm.
humanoid.
Humanoid. Little hairy gremlin. Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you about the Oatmeal Flaws.
Okay, please do.
Okay. So this woman living in this tiny town.
Of 723 people.
She reported that translucent, gelatinous,
My
blobs.
skin's already crawling.
Gelatinous is such a gross word.
What?
Each of these blobs were about half the size of a grain of rice. And they had rained down during the night and were covering the ground. What's those little like things like
Orbs.
orbs? It's what I thought.
Orbeez?
Little
Orbeez?
Orbeez.
Yeah.
Those little
You
like
put them in water and they
squishy
Yeah.
balls. And my kids love them.
Squishy ball.
They had rained down during the night and were covering the ground.
Okay.
She and her mother had developed flu-like symptoms, and the woman thought
no.
that their symptoms had something to do with the blobs.
Hmm?
The woman who reported them said that she had fatigue and nausea after she handled the
Oh,
blobs,
no.
and her mother was hospitalized for dizziness and
Oh my gosh.
nausea. They also had a kitten who died after
Oh.
coming into contact with the blobs. But
Poor
the
little baby
kitten
kitty.
had been sick
Oh.
before, so
He
maybe
had a
that's a
weakened immune
coincidence.
system.
Yeah. So initially, I kept thinking there would be a better word than blob.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
But the more I read it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, no, blob. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
we can come up with. 5 more reports of the weird blobs came in over the next
So like
3
half
weeks.
the town.
Yeah. And several more people reported that they had gotten sick after having contact with the blobs.
Oh my gosh.
There were also reports of multiple dogs and cats dying after encountering the blobs too.
I mean, dogs will eat anything.
So that's 6 times total. and all within a 20-mile radius over a
Ooh.
3-week period that the weird blobs like fell from the sky.
What?
Yeah. So the Oakville blobs were featured on a 1997 episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Of course they were.
And in that episode, Robert Stack said, the first report of the blobs stated they started falling at 3 a.m. on August 7th, 1994. One resident of Oakville said that the whole town came down, which is, again, small, 723. Right. But the whole town came down with something like the flu, and it was like a really bad flu, and lasted anywhere from 7 weeks to 2 to 3 months. Symptoms included problematic breathing, vertigo, blurred vision, and nausea.
What? Somebody's trying to get rid of this town.
I mean, it's weird. A police officer said he turned on his windshield wipers, and it would just smear the goo.
Ew.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
He touched the blobs, and he said...
Oh, don't touch it!
He said it was kind of like Jell-O, like you could squish it with your finger. I just keep thinking little Orbeez, but it's smaller than Orbeez. The blobs were examined by Mike McDowell, a microbiologist at the Washington State Department of Health. And I read 2 conflicting pieces of information about the results. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, one of the articles said that it was discovered that the blobs contained 2 species of bacteria.
Oh.
But another one said the blobs contained 2 different organisms. And I don't know, is that the same thing? Bacteria and organism?
Yes, I mean, it's
a bacteria
living.
is an organism. I'm going to name those organisms right now for you.
Please do. I would love to learn about it.
Mainly because I just thought you all would enjoy this moment.
Yes.
One of the organisms, I'm stalling, is called Pseudomonas fluorescens.
Phalanges.
And the other one is called Enterobacter cloacae.
Cloacae.
And it was like those organisms could lead to... Okay. The organisms could lead to severe... What's wrong? What's happening?
What? The organisms.
Those organisms,
they're doing things.
The ones that I named perfectly just a second ago, could lead to severe illness. But then the next sentence was like, but no one could figure out why the people got sick. And I was like, well,
but they were
just said
squishing them like Jell-O between their fingers. So
I'm like, if you just said they could cause illness, but you don't know why the people got sick. So well, I think it's possible that's like a typo, because most of the things I read said they couldn't find anything in the blobs that would be a reason for the people to get sick. So regardless, before another scientist could test those samples, the samples disappeared.
They just absorbed into the ground?
Well, here's a quote from the Unsolved Mysteries episode, which that guy, Mike McDowell, said. I came in and the material wasn't where it was supposed to be. I asked management, what happened to it? And the exact words were, do not ask. And he also said, this material, and I have no proof of one way or the other, was manufactured by someone for some purpose, and for some reason, Oakville was chosen as the test site.
Dun, dun, dun.
He said that very matter-of-factly, but he also, in case you missed it, said, I have no proof one way or the other. But he's very
like, don't
convicted.
quote me on this, but I'm
going to say it on TV.
To believe.
Yeah. There's also a report that when the blobs were examined, they were found to contain human white blood cells. And when the Washington State Department of Ecology's Hazardous Materials Spill Response Unit investigated this further, they discovered that the cells from the blobs had no nuclei. Okay.
I mean, that
I
solves
feel
it.
like-
That solves it. You heard it here,
The
guys.
end.
No nuclei.
So obviously I was like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, huh?
So here's our science lesson for the day. I feel like I've taught every time I have like a little lesson.
so good.
So there are cells that don't have nuclei, and those are called prokaryotic. Red blood cells don't have a nucleus. So red blood cells are prokaryotic. However, white blood cells are eukaryotic. So they do have nuclei.
Can we phone Bill Nye?
So it's weird that these are human white blood cells and they don't have nuclei. But before we get too caught up in this, and by the way, I did.
I 100% would get caught up.
I got way too caught up in it. I went down this ridiculous rabbit hole about cells and nuclei. I tried to make sense of all of it. And then I came back to this next piece of information.
Okay, great.
The original woman who reported the blobs, she'd kept a sample in her own freezer. Yeah.
She froze it in the freezer with her other items.
So about a year after the blob, just right there behind the popsicles.
Oh my God.
She had the sample examined by a private lab where a microbiologist, Tim Davis with Amtest Laboratories, said that what he examined was a eukaryotic cell with a clearly defined nucleus. and it's the kind of cell that is present in most animals.
Oh.
So the goo contained cells that are present in animals. So the goo is alive.
Wow.
I don't know. I have no idea how her sample had been stored for that year before it was examined.
Is it like Horton Hears a Who?
I don't.
Is that what this goo is?
I don't know how scientifically reliable the results of that examination are, but I do know way more about cell structure right now than anyone really needs to know.
Or that anyone actually knows.
My 7th grade science teacher would be really pumped.
Yeah.
About this.
Yeah.
No one needs to know.
Nobody needs to know.
So, theories. Okay. One theory about the blobs, and this always comes up, is that they're the result of some kind of secret military weapons testing.
Yeah, I'm there for it.
There's not really, and of course, there's not really any evidence to support that theory. Some residents claim that they saw military
Except
aircraft.
the fact that it happened.
Right. I mean, there's never evidence, you guys. That's why it's a conspiracy. But some residents said they saw military aircraft in the sky before the blobs rained down. And of course, the military is like, no.
No, guys, we don't do
The
that.
military never says, yep, that was us.
We sure did.
Shoot.
It took them forever to say that aliens existed.
I know. Another theory. Here's another one. I just have to say this out loud.
I love
it's
it.
great.
It's going to be so good.
The U.S. This is the theory, that the U.S. Air Force was doing bombing practice in the Pacific Ocean. And while doing so, the jellyfish were shredded into pieces and swept up into the stratosphere and dispersed into a rain cloud. It's like that sentence gets more and more ridiculous the longer it goes on.
It's like there was this octopus in the bottom of the ocean that was carrying this basket of crabs.
Oh, God. It's like Sharknado-ish, you know? It swept up the jellyfish pieces.
Oh my
and all those little blobs are jellyfish pieces.
Love it.
There's not really, I know this is a surprise. There's not really any evidence to support that one either.
No, dang.
I just enjoy that
really
anyone thought
wanted
of
that
it.
to be
So,
accurate.
like, somebody was like, this is clearly jellyfish.
I
Here's how it
felt it with
happens.
my own hands.
Here's how it happened.
I know that this is a fact.
Here's one thing, though. The Air Force did confirm that they'd done bombing practice over the Pacific during that time period, but they denied any knowledge of the unknown substance or any involvement in creating or dispersing it. But I'm still just like, but people studied the samples. If it was a jellyfish, we'd know it was a jellyfish.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, okay. I'm glad you agree. Another theory is that the blobs were created by the concentrated fluid waste from a passing airplane toilet, which is a thing I don't like to think about, but it must happen, right? The
You know what's so
FAA
weird? I was just talking to one of my clients who was traveling 2 days ago. And she was like, what happens if I have to use the bathroom on the plane? Because it's going to be a long one. Where does that go? And I was like,
We don't talk about it.
we don't need to know.
We don't like to think about it.
Nobody needs to know that.
The FAA is like, no. All fluid waste from commercial airplane toilets is dyed blue, and the Oakville blobs had no color. So it wasn't that.
It was just gelatinous.
But how disgusting would it be if it's like this one town gets rained upon by toilet waste 6 different times in a
live
3-week period?
amoebas in your toilet waste.
Amoeba. All right. This is my favorite thing.
I can't wait.
You are going to love this.
I
And
can't.
when I saw it, I was like, Kara's going to love this.
Oh, man.
Here's one last thing I found. It's only mentioned in one article.
Okay.
And if you go to my sources,
And it's the only one that matters, really,
Right.
guys. If this is
if you go to the sources in the show notes, it's the sciencefocus.com article. And it
Perfect.
says there's a substance called star jelly
Mhm.
that has been referenced in scientific reports and poetry for hundreds of years. With a name like star jelly, obviously, I was like, let's go Google that.
What does one do with the star jelly?
Okay, so according to Wikipedia,
Uh-huh.
star jelly is a gelatinous substance sometimes found on grass or even on branches of trees. According to folklore, it is deposited on the earth during meteor showers.
Yep.
It's translucent
Mhm.
or grayish white
Okay.
and tends to evaporate shortly after having fallen. Reports of the substance date back to the 14th century and continue to this day.
Yep. Sold.
Yeah,
That's gotta be it.
but here's the thing.
Oh.
So you read it and you're like, well, there's our answer. It's star jelly.
It was just sitting in the trees.
But now we still don't know what star jelly is. it's like we
Why
have an
does
answer,
it-
but it's not really an answer.
Why does star jelly have living creatures on it? Are those the alien babies and they're planting them into the earth?
That's one of the theories. Is it's some kind of extraterrestrial?
Oh,
Okay, so star jelly might as well just be another word for Oakville blobs because nobody knows what star jelly is either. But it sounds way more like there's Oakville blobs and then there's star jelly. Right? It's pretty.
That's perfect. I like it.
So the meteor shower thing is folklore, so it's not proven.
Okay,
Some
but folklore is everything, okay?
Right. I mean, So some people think that star jelly is extraterrestrial in origin.
Okay.
Others think star jelly is actually, okay, the remains of frogs and toads after birds or other mammals eat them. There's a reason, like it's specifically because of some duct that frogs and toads have, but I already spent a lot of time on that cell structure lesson earlier, so I'm just going to spare us all this one.
Yeah.
There's another theory that star jelly is
Were there
fungus.
that many frogs to cover this town?
Well, they're basically
Birds
saying
were
it's
real
like
hungry.
bird vomit. So another theory is that star jelly is a fungus that grows on decaying wood.
Among Us.
A fungus among us. There are actually a few different theories about different types of fungus or algae, but nothing's been proven. Scientists commissioned by the National Geographic Society have tested samples of star jelly found in the United States, but they haven't found any DNA in the substance. So I guess the main thing here is that the Oakville blobs made people sick, and I didn't see any reference.
I want to see blood
anything
work.
about star
Did
jelly.
this alter anybody's DNA?
So,
That's what
well, I'll say that here. I'll get to that in a second. But one thing I was going to say is if it's some kind of fungus, maybe that could have made people sick.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't seem like we're going to have an answer on this one. The
Don't
blobs,
eat weird mushrooms.
Yeah, no. The blobs evaporated and the samples that have been sent to the Washington Department of Health disappeared. In fact, the Washington Department of Health says it has no record of what happened to the samples it had received.
That's questionable.
So basically, there's no evidence at this point of the blobs at all beyond the accounts of the people who witnessed the event.
Do we have anybody that can do like rain dances, but do blob dance, star jelly dances?
I did try to see just what you were talking about, if there's any kind of long-term health issues for the people who'd been sickened, but I found nothing. Like nobody really talks, like there's nothing new here.
They're
about,
just like, meh, it happened.
like whatever investigations were done in the 90s, and people have written articles about it recently, but all the articles are just like, here's what happened in the 90s. There's nothing new.
Man.
So, of course, I've decided it's either a huge government secret, like some type of biological weapons testing,
Jellyfish.
or
From the stars.
it's aliens. It's not jellyfish.
Right.
Aliens seem about as likely as anything else.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
What if
Okay.
the Russian military that was doing the underwater diving in the really cold water that found the like fish alien frog people, what if those were their egg babies?
Just a minute.
And
Pause.
they were doing bombing there and it got
I need
absorbed
you to-
into the sky.
Oh, you're going to need to take a time out.
Yeah.
What?
That could be a side piece. I'll
What
do a
fish people are you talking about? Is that
in Russia? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, you need to do a side piece because I have abs. Like, you started going, and I'm like, she's talking about this like it's a for sure thing.
It
to
is,
happen.
yeah.
Okay, we need to.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, but what if that was like their egg babies and they bombed that area because they're not just in Russia. They bombed that area and their egg babies went into the sky and were obliterated and then they fell down on that piece of earth.
I really hope this is your next Tuesday episode.
It needs to be now. I'm going to go do a deep dive.
Oh God, it's so corny.
So good.
But that's the end of the episode. I realize we have no answer here, but isn't it? Don't you all think it's just bizarre that there is no answer?
How
And
bizarre.
no, nobody's. They're just like, yeah, well, that's a thing that
It
happened.
happened to us in this.
I don't know
small
how
town.
people do that. Like, how do you let go of things?
If you are from that town or know somebody from that town, please help us.
Yeah, I want to know.
With more
Do
information.
y'all still talk about it? Is anybody still affected?
Also, Bill Nye, if you're listening, please
Yeah,
message
go
us.
figure that out. What's star jelly?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your Tuesday episode.
You all are so welcome.
I do want to do a quick reminder to check out our show notes for the link to that Give Miami fundraiser where we're
Yes.
raising money for that organization
Y'all are
that
killing
helps
it.
kids. Yeah, thank you so much for all the donations we've received
Yes.
so far. There's a link in the show notes that goes straight to the donation page, and that all goes straight. It doesn't come to us at all. It all goes straight to the Give Miami fundraiser, to the Kids Side nonprofit organization.
Which is incredible.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, be sure to check out last Thursday's episode to learn more about it.
Yes.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.